going to get started. I'm going to do a little presentation for you and get ready for Jamie Dury to come on at 2 o'clock. I'm Tami Eilers. I'm one of the landscape designers for McDonald Garden Center here in Virginia Beach. And they asked me to do a little talk on container gardening. If you would look through your handout that you were given, there will be one that says Landscape Styles to Enhance Curb Appeal. This is just a little reference to use during my talk. Can you believe the power of this mighty oak shading this entire deck and cooling us off? It just shows you the power of a tree. I'm just so excited that we have this oak tree and they were able to keep it when they built the garden center. Okay, as you look through this handout, what I'm suggesting is that you Google house styles and look up what style of architecture the architect had in mind when he designed your house. When we're dealing with front yard landscapes, it's ideal to have the theme of your garden reflect the idea that the architect had in mind when he designed your building. So this gives you some ideas that I put together of elements that you can add to your landscape that will enhance that architectural style. So like I say, if you don't know whether you have a colonial, which we have a lot of in Virginia, Mediterranean, contemporary, go online, just Google house styles, identify what you have, and then use this list to help you bring elements into your front yard. This is more for your front yard landscape. Backyard, you can do whatever you want. You're in your house looking out, and that's where you can get crazy and do whatever you like. But that's a trick that we use as landscape designers. When we first walk into your garden, we're thinking, okay, what is the architectural style of this house? And what plants go with that style? And that helps us decide where to start. So I'm going to give you some examples of how that works. If you had what is very prevalent in Virginia, the colonial architecture, or let's call it classic or Charleston, this is the plant palette that I would use. I would use things like Boston ferns. You can notice they put 2 in a pot up there on the very top. They're easy. You just pretty much plop and drop right into a container or hang them from your front porch. They like morning sun and they like to be watered every day. English ivy topiaries would go definitely with that classic architecture, as well as begonias, English ivy, boxwoods. And when we have a tall pot, you want to use a tall plant. Think of it this way: if the container moves up, the plant material should move up. It's just a little trick to create balance. And of course, your good old-fashioned classic geraniums just go with any type of colonial/classic architecture. So that's a good idea. Now, if you had a contemporary home, this would be more the collection that you would look to go to, or let's say in your backyard around your pool. One of the fun things to do when we're dealing with contemporary or Zen gardens or modern gardens is to use pebbles or rocks as your mulch. It's just a new trend that's out. You can use polished beach pebbles or just rocks like this rather than your typical mulch. It is mulch. Rock is considered mulch just like pine straw or shredded hardwood. Mulch is just something that holds moisture on the plant's roots. When you're designing your own pots, if you decided to do your own pot, you want to mix textures. If you'll notice, we have a round leaf, and then we have a triangular leaf. And that's what works, and that actually works in landscape design too, when you mix them up. Don't use all the same. Like you wouldn't want to put another fern in with this fern. It'd be too similar. The contrast that makes it look better. At McDonald's, we have pre-planted patio containers, so if you had a table out on your back porch that you see from your kitchen sink, let's say, dining room table, and you don't have an umbrella on it, one of these carry home is a nice idea. Now, when you're trying to decide, okay, which of these beautiful pots am I going to use, I encourage you to think about the facade of your home if you're looking at the front yard. We don't want to come in and put an orange pot in front of a red brick house. It's just going to be like a big polka dot and not work. So rather than picking the color pot that you like because you like it, instead pick what looks right with the facade of your home, the brick or the siding or whatever. So, for instance, this turquoise pot would not have its place in front of a colonial red brick house. It would be awesome around a swimming pool. Or in a Mediterranean house or a drive-it or stucco house, this would be a great choice for a front porch. Now, I have these pots up here to show you a way that we've designed. Container gardening couldn't be easier, and it's called Always in Bloom. And what they did is they came up with these different size pots. This is the Deluxe, the Prestige, and the Estate. And every season, we have pre-planted liners for the season that fit in them. So as long as you remember which pot you bought, and you buy a pot that matches the color of your house, you just come in here, buy one of these liners, take it home, and put it in the pot. Change it out spring, summer, and fall. Easy, easy. This would be a great one for full sun. This is a shade planter with the caladium, impatiens, and lobelia. This one I've got to put the mic in. Couldn't be easier. So you would just, like I say, come in every season. You can do it twice a year, you can do it 3 times a year. And it's that dummy proof. As long as you keep in mind, like I say, when you come, your color palette that you're playing with, the rest of it is very, very easy. So finally, I'm going to swing around to if you were working with your backyard. In your backyard landscape, again, think about it as I'm going to be looking at it from my kitchen sink 9 times out of 10. So what do I want to look at out there? What is my focal point and how can I enhance it with container gardening? Or it may be the only place you have to plant if you live in a townhome or condo. And so you want to work on vegetables, let's say. This is actually a vegetable garden. This has a tomato in the top, and these are herbs all around the bottom. Now this would like full sun, and if you were to set this on, let's say, a townhome or condo balcony, turn it every once in a while so that all the sides get the right amount of sun, get even sunlight. But this could not be easier. You water the top, and it runs down through, and then you give a little bit of splash on each side at the beginning until these roots work their way in. Well, are you all excited for Jamie Dury to come? I mean, it is hot out here, but it is hotter because he's here. I mean, so anyway, it's a little hard to focus actually. But okay, so this is a new container garden they just came out with this year. This is actually popcorn. This will create a tassel like your traditional corn, have a little corn cob on it, which you can pop in the microwave, or you can hang it up dry on your front porch for Thanksgiving or Halloween, whenever it dries. Another new one that would work with a contemporary architecture is the new black millet. Millet is a primary seed that you see when you buy bird seed. And this is an ornamental millet that they put in this for a different contemporary type look. And then McDonald's makes it even easier for you to be a vegetable gardener. Look at this. This is our little sweet and neat cherry tomatoes, already made like this. If you don't particularly like this pot, just buy a terracotta pot and drop it in it, just like I did over there, and you got a little fancier look. We've got the green bell peppers. Water every day, and when you have a container, you want to fertilize once a month, and you want to water every day. Just think of it this way, the earth dries out as deep as that pot every day when we're in 80 and 90 degrees. And then this one is called Loco, and it's a red hot pepper. 2 other little tricks I want to show you. One of my very good friends has strawberry plants in pots around her pool. Get these repeat blooming strawberries and put them, 2 deep in a pot like this. Look how pretty that is. And then you get the added benefit, all these little white flowers turn to green berries, and then turn to red strawberries. Strawberries work a little better for me when I get them up off the ground. You don't really want the berries sitting on the ground. Then you have a little issue with slugs and things. So by putting them in a pot like this, it keeps them up where you can just pick them, and it's a treat. You're not going to make a big harvest off of this, but it's still something fun, and it's a great way to get kids interested in gardening. This is foolproof. This is not going to have any issues. And also, when we deal with landscape design and color and textures, we like to play with color echoes. This is beautiful Persian shield. This is a part shade planter. These are St. John's wort or Hypericum. And notice how they contrasted the chartreuse with the purple, and this will get really big. Well, then another little fun thing to do is come in here with some of your decorative pebbles or sand. And it just gives you a little modern look. That we're just filled up like that, and it serves as a drain tray to catch the water. Now, when you're picking your containers here at McDonald's, the Always in Bloom are going to do just fine because your liners are going to have holes in them. But you never want to plant a plant in a container that doesn't have a hole, because plants have to have drainage, and you want to water them till water comes out that hole on the bottom when you water every day, and that way you know that you've watered deep enough. I think I have a few minutes for a couple of quick questions if anybody has any. Yes, her question was, she's having a hard time finding flowers for shade. She just moved here from another part of the country. And the answer for that is there are not a lot of flowers when you get to shade. There are some, but you deal with texture. This pot in the middle is a good example. Your impatiens is a great summer flower as far as annuals. Hydrangeas are a wonderful shade flower. Caladiums also. But what we do in shade is we play with leaf texture much more than we do try to bring in flowers, because we don't have a lot of plants that flower in the shade. Ferns, hostas, and this type of combination. This would be an asparagus fern in the back here to show you how much texture it has. And so, yeah, you're right. That's a trick. But hydrangeas are a goddess for the shade. They're going to give you color. And there are repeat blooming hydrangeas, the Endless Summer series, and a couple of others too that are now repeat blooming. So that'll get you some color.
Talk about the traditional thing again. My friend's going to hear.
Oh, okay. I was asked to repeat the traditional real quick. If you have a classic or traditional house, let's say Charleston style colonial, which we see so much of here in Virginia, it's just our signature here. This is the plant palette that we first think about. We think of boxwoods, gardenias. This is a conical boxwood. This is an easy boxwood. This is winter gem. It's one of our faster growing, and it does a fabulous job. The classic begonias. Begonias are one of my favorite annuals because they just bloom without any deadheading every day all summer long. English ivy. You can get the green English ivy or the variegated. Geraniums, again, just a classic. That's just almost, you look at it, you think George Washington. I mean, to me, that's a classic. Your English ivy topiaries for shade. This would be more of a sun planter, and your English ivy could be changed out with some shade plants. You just put it in the shade. When our containers move up, like a footed urn like we have here, you want your plant material to move up, or the element inside of the pot. Let's say if it were a trellis structure. But we like that movement to move up like that. One more. Okay, go on. Yes.
I've had a lot of planters with the cypress tree and the ivy in them, and they seem to be self-limiting. They'll do well for maybe a year or so, and then it'll seem that either the cypress gets the white spider mite, or the ivy seems to choke out the topiary that's within it.
Yes, she was saying that a container like this seems to have a lifespan. They do get short-lived, and that's definitely true. Now, there are a couple of things you can do. One is ivy is very forgiving if you pull it out, chop it up, and plant it back, and you're going to need to do that. So there is some maintenance involved. You want to cut these back and chop them up and reposition them after a while. The dwarf Alberta spruce that you're talking about does tend to get spider mites when it's used in a container. We don't really recommend that. They don't like that wet-dry cycle that you get in a container. These two plants would do much better in a container than the dwarf Alberta spruce. And yes, this will eventually grow out this pot. You can plant it in your yard and start over. You can prune it, but the roots are going to fill it eventually. You would get probably 5 years out of this. Well, are you all excited for Jamie Dury to come? Somebody spotted him. He has a blue and white shirt, and he's over there somewhere. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get out of the way, and we'll start to clear this out, and you all can start getting ready.